Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Business. And today's conversation is going to be eye-opening, especially if you're just getting in the groove, you're thinking about starting your journey as a bookkeeper or an entrepreneur. And we have an awesome guest today. Her name is Candace. She has been a key part of our client success and finance teams here at the Stay at Home Bookkeeper Academy. And over the past few years, she has worked with hundreds of new business owners, supporting them, guiding them, and watching closely what makes someone thrive versus what keeps someone stuck. Hi, Candace. How you doing today?
Hey there, Emily and Deanna as well. Thanks for the great introduction.
We're excited to have you. So, what I love about Candace is strong-willed, and she is what I like to call a radical truth teller. And she has seen everything from our students behind the scenes. And so today, I really want to talk about what is the real difference between those who build successful businesses from scratch and those who don't. So, Candace, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. As you mentioned, I've done a few different positions here in this wonderful company, and I've seen a lot. I've seen it from different angles, and I've had the privilege of working with so many of our students. So, a key indicator of whether or not someone's going to be successful, I can tell the moment we start onboarding them, how quickly they're responding to those tasks, how much time they're allocating to getting onboarded and even getting into our program. I can tell if they've had any other purchases from us in the past, if they've actually used those. If they're not just throwing money at something, hoping that it will make an imaginary business that they don't have to put any work into. So, consistency and setting aside time definitely is key to getting your business going.
I love it. So we are jumping straight into it. You've talked a little bit about some early signs that you think people are going to be successful. Can you talk about some early red flags that, maybe we're going to see something here?
Absolutely. I like to call this like the fizzling out is when they start to avoid things. They avoid the responsibilities. They avoid carving out that time they need to work on themselves in the business. They avoid getting help from family or their support systems to set aside that time and to offboard other tasks in the household that need to go away in order for them to make room for this, even if it's temporary time they need.
Mhm.
Awesome. I'm going to jump in here as well, Candace. One of the questions that we like to ask is, some people assume that the students who succeed are just lucky. They were just in the right place, possibly at the right time. What would you say to the person that's asking that question?
It absolutely is not luck. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of grit behind the scenes. It is a lot of action taking. The people who put themselves out there and are courageous enough to take those uncomfortable steps forward every day, they create their own luck. There is no such thing as luck in business.
Yeah, so I want to build upon that. We're in a program where we want to bring people in who may not have experience, and we've seen, and you've seen a lot of people have success with very little experience in the finance space, in the business space, and on the same time, we've seen those same people potentially quit who are or use that as a blocker to move forward. What do you say separates those two groups, the people who may not have experience and exceed versus end up quitting or fizzling out?
It's 1000% mindset at the end of the day. So if you're not working on yourself and you're not pushing yourself to do those uncomfortable tasks every day and do them consistently, it's just not going to work. Whether you have a master's in accounting or whether you're a stay-at-home parent, you're not going to be able to succeed unless you're working on your mindset and pushing yourself forward every day.
So let's jump in there. Since you're talking about jumping in, I would say let's kind of figure out what habits are. I'm big about habits, right? Like I have daily habits, things that I do, but let's talk about what are some of the daily or weekly habits or actions that you've seen that actually help students gain momentum from when they get started.
Absolutely, Deanna. That's a fabulous point. Habits are so important, and I believe it's 30 days to form a new habit. So, right out of the gate, you really need to be intentional about how you're spending your time. Even if that means every day for 15 minutes, I'm going to do some marketing task, whatever it is, 15 minutes a day will push your business forward. We are all scrambling for time, but everyone has 15 minutes. And if you don't believe it, look at your phone usage time. I'm sure you can take away 15 minutes from something that doesn't move your business forward and just reinvest it there. To that
I think
point,
she was talking about me right there.
no,
Maybe. I
no,
don't know.
About all of
it's
us.
all of
Note to
us.
self.
We do it. You have to turn your brain off. It's important. But when you're busy building a business, you're going to have to be temporarily uncomfortable with your added new tasks. And that is getting you to the flexible and financially free lifestyle that you want. There are going to be hard times, and there are going to be things that you're going to have to give up doing, whether it's scrolling on TikTok for an hour or something else you enjoy. If you invest that in your business, you're giving yourself all that time back later in the future that you're not going to have to work for somebody else. You're not going to have to drop your kids off at daycare. You just have to be uncomfortable now and you have to keep moving forward. So weekly tasks would be coming to our Zoom calls. We have so many, including mindset and to do marketing and to get help with your client work. Once you start onboarding your clients, you need to set time aside, even if that's your lunch break on your 9 to 5, even if that's while your kids are at soccer practice, even if it's getting up early in the morning to fit it in. You have to do it now or you're not going to get the future that you want.
I
I
love that.
I love that. And so note to self, look at your TikTok usage and your phone usage.
I
And
have it
going in
too.
that direction, can you talk about a few more examples of common ways you see students, new business owners get in their own way when they are trying to build these habits, when they're trying to take action and build this new business?
Oh, yes. That's called like um, the perfection problem. I know we have a good word for it. What do we call it? Analysis paralysis,
Analysis paralysis. Yep, that's a
things
good
like
one.
that. Wanting everything to be perfect is never going to happen. And by waiting and delaying and thinking you need to build complex behind the scenes operational automation, that's not ever going to get you a client if you're just stalling. And it's comes back to fear and being uncomfortable. Everything can't be perfect. You need to do it imperfectly and you'll improve as you go. Just like your first child you brought home from the hospital, you had to figure it out. You had no choice. Pretend your business is a baby. You have no choice but to nurture it and to move forward, or it will not go anywhere. Good.
I love that. Okay, I'm gonna have to put that on my desk, a little sticky note. Think of it as my child. Um, I want to say I don't think I've ever asked this question to anyone, but I know because you've seen all, done all, and you work with so many different students. I'm curious, can you think of any student who almost gave up, but turned it around through sheer follow-up? And then by doing so, what actually changed for them? It's kind of a two-part question.
Oh, we have so many wonderful students and they all have such great stories. And I know that virally we see a lot of the really big successful wins, but they all started at the very beginning, that like everybody else, whether they had a background in accounting or bookkeeping or whatever, they all started from ground zero. So there is one student in particular, uh, as part of our program, you do have some one-on-one accountability check-ins with our student success coordinators. And at that time, I was doing some with a student in general. And she was getting really upset that her marketing efforts weren't paying off as quickly as she'd wanted them to. So we looked at what she was doing and we made a few tweaks and just reminding her like, hey, get to a mindset call, talk to someone about this. You're not stuck. Keep doing it. It's the snowball effect. You need to wait it out. She was so ready to quit. She sent me so many messages like, I just can't do this anymore. Nobody's answering me. And then all of a sudden, she was so inundated with so many responses. In particular, she had started one of our emailing workshops to create referral partnerships. And she had so much business that she was already talking about hiring someone to help her. It all hit her so quickly. And I know she's so grateful that she didn't quit when she said she wanted to quit. And as part of our program, I think she would have quit if we didn't all cheer her on. So I was really grateful to have that pleasure to help her transform her life in that way.
I love that. And I think you mentioned just one person, but we see that over and over and over again in the community, right? Because you can see where maybe one little thing can set off a trigger, and then the community rallies around them and just supports them and are some of the biggest cheerleaders. And it's just really fun to see that transformation and mindset of like, oh my gosh, I've got a team, hundreds of people cheering me on as I did my win today. Like I love, love, love seeing that and hearing that.
Absolutely, you're right. We love celebrating in our community, and there's so much experience, even with our mentoring team. They've all been through this, they've been through our program. They know firsthand how transformational it is and how much hard work it can be. So, trying to break it down step by step for everyone to not feel so overwhelmed is definitely one of our specialties.
That is awesome. And so, what I hear you both talking about really is the power of community and mindset. And maybe when you don't have the mindset just yet, you can reach out to your community and we will help build you up. But we did start to talk about mindset earlier, and I want to dig back into mindset. How important, Candace, would you say is your mindset versus strategy when you're building a business from scratch? We talk a lot about both of those things, but let's get into that.
So, mindset strategy matters. You definitely want to have some sort of a map, but to get hung up on strategy, you're not going to go anywhere. You need your mindset to fuel it. So your mindset will be the motor and strategy is the road that you're going to drive on. So without the mindset powering the car and moving you forward, the strategy really doesn't matter at the end of the day. That's super important. I think one of the most important aspects, especially early on in your business. Being prepared for things not going exactly how you plan them to, or a rejection, and being able to jump right back in and keep moving forward and being consistent. That's so important.
Okay, let's dive into that, what you just said. Things don't happen the way they anticipated, right? What happens if a student hits that rough patch or even gets stuck? What do you wish they would do first?
The very first thing they should do is lean
Yes.
into our community. We have so many places for them to chat live, to correspond with our team, to communicate with other members of the community, to find out, hey, did anybody else have this happen? How did you overcome this? Why did it happen? I feel like this, and validating exactly what happened for them, letting them know it's normal, it's a process of business. Um, we will move forward. You will look back at this and understand it was a growing moment or a lesson, and now you know something better is to come at the end of it. So definitely leaning in on our community and getting that help right away helps.
So, Deanna,
I was gonna say really quickly to that though. I think don't not being afraid to ask, right? But when you go into the community, not just be in it, but leverage it, right? Like truly leverage the community. I think that's a key that we should really be telling people. Like you can be in the community and just watch it, but if you're not active in it and supporting it yourself and being involved in it, you're not going to really reap the rewards of it as well if you're not. I mean, it's like you can go to the gym, I can walk in, but if I don't work out, I'm not going to get the results that I want, right?
Absolutely. Showing up,
Yeah,
being present, utilizing all of
right.
the resources available to you, and
Yes,
not waiting, not thinking about it yourself, just taking action
right.
at the end of the day again.
yeah, and what I was going to ask is, Deanna, you actually speak really beautifully about having stones thrown at you and turning that into a pathway. I was wondering if you could share a little bit about that. You tend to talk about what whenever you've experienced, getting hardship or getting certain things thrown at you, and you just using that as the road to keep going. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was something that some of you have heard my story. I had stage 4 cancer years, like 20 plus years ago, right? And one of the things that my doctor had told me was, I can't take you on as a patient if you cry. And I honestly, that is still to this day, like hit me like in the face. And I was just like, man, you have really bad manners. Like you should not be a doctor. And I left that appointment just mad. And then I went home and I thought about it and I was like, it's mindset. Like he's trying to get me to not be upset, not to cry all the time. He's like, you can cry once and then that's it. And I remember going back the next day and I was like, man, you made me so mad. He's like, but are you mad enough to fight? He's like, doesn't matter what we throw at you, no matter how sick you're gonna get, no matter what's gonna happen, you got to be a fighter. And then you'll win. And I'll never forget that. And that stuck with me. And so even in business, every single little thing, if something just got thrown at me and it just didn't go my way or it wasn't what I expected, I was like, bring it on. Let me figure it out. You're gonna throw rocks at me. I'm gonna make a pathway and I'm gonna walk on them, right? And so, like, instead of just like, I think sometimes we get so worried about those little rocks thrown at us versus thinking, you know what? That's just a little tiny rock. It's okay. Tomorrow is going to be a different day. Let's just figure out how to use that rock and step on it. And I found that when I changed my mindset, everything, the perspective was different. And I will always be grateful for that doctor who like switched that in my brain for me. Even though at first I was like, man, you're just an awful like bedside manners. Like that's the worst. But then I realized he was really trying to get me to just be a fighter, right? And so I push that into my work life. And so every little thing, I mean, you know what? Maybe and I have found this too. Maybe a client leaves me, or whatever, and I'm just like, that's awful. I've lost a client. You know what? And then 3 days later, I had three clients. Like I didn't give up. I didn't stop. I didn't dwell on the negative. I just was like, okay, well, I didn't need that client. I'm going to work harder and go get another one, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And so I was like, bring it on. Come on, bring on those rocks. And so I think it's just we talk about mindset a lot in our community, but it truly is because you've got someone to lean, you've got other people to lean on. You've got, for me, it was like during that time, it was like I had a doctor I could go to and he was my cheerleader. And here in the academy, we got hundreds of people that are your cheerleaders, right? So one little thing, don't let that discourage you because those are just little baby rocks. And those are just going to put in your pathway and you're just going to walk all over them. So when I say that, if you ever hear me say that, it's just because I'm like, throw them at me. Come on. Is that what you got? That's what I try to tell people.
That
I
is just, that's always so powerful to hear you talk about that. And I think something that people may not understand with mindset and community is you're not always just going to wake up one day and feel this mindset, right? And that's the important part about having that community. In your example, Deanna, having that doctor who to like communicate that to you and say, this is the mindset you need to have. When you're building a business, when you're entrepreneur, having a community of people around you who can, hear the problem that you're having and interpret it for you and say, oh, this is just a tiny little pebble. Here's how you can,
Mhm.
create a stepping stone with that pebble and lean on that community. I think is really powerful to remember that to lean on the people around you when it comes to mindset and not feel any shame, when you think it should just happen automatically. So I love that. Uh, Candace, I would love to know from you with all of this conversation around mindset, taking action, your community, what would you say to someone watching who is doing everything, doing the planning, doing the researching, but they're doing everything except for taking action? What would you say to them if those people who are waiting to still feel ready before they get started?
would say you're not building a business to be comfortable. You're building a business to change your life. So you need to just take that first step forward and the next step, and they'll get easier every single day.
That's wow, that's powerful. I love that. Candace, I've got one last question I want to ask you. And I know you've seen it all. We've talked about that earlier, but you see so many different people in the program and you've had so many different roles. So you've had the opportunity to see people from when they first come in all the way to where they graduate and they've got very successful businesses. And so I guess in your eyes, what would you say is the most underrated factor in student success that people sometimes just overlook?
I think consistency, Deanna. I really believe consistency will cure anything. That's marketing, that's following up with leads that you had already discussed things with that maybe didn't want your services initially, reaching back out to them every month. Things change. That's consistently making the time for your business and consistently making the time for yourself and your mindset. I think it all boils down to consistency.
I love that. And as you said that too, I also was thinking, I think also, and I'm going to add to what you said, is celebrating small wins,
Mm,
right?
Agreed.
Like,
Yes.
because I think sometimes we think, oh, I've got to have these big wins or my business is successful if I don't do hit XYZ. And if you don't hit and celebrate also the small wins, Like you're overlooking the fact that every single day you're winning at something else, that some little thing that you did is adding to the success of that, right? So I always try to think, and as you were talking, it really hit me. I was like, that's something too. We should really make sure people remember the small wins matter, right? Like the fact that you go to the gym, that matters because you're taking action, right? So those little tiny things like, like I got up this morning and I'll be honest, I'm going to tell you right now, I almost didn't do something this morning that I always do. I'm so used to every morning I block everything and I block a time that I do my outreach for new clients, right? I was so busy in the whirlwind and stuff, I almost didn't do it. And because I mean, I just got busy, right? But I stopped what I was doing. Instead of an hour of doing it, I did it for 20 minutes. And you know what? I got someone who responded and they could be a potential client. And had I not have done that, like I wouldn't have be talking to that person. And that's a small win. Not big, doesn't mean that they're my client yet, doesn't mean anything else, doesn't mean I've gotten any monetary. But to me, the small win was that I just didn't ignore it. I stuck to what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think we got to sometimes too also just remind each other that celebrate those small wins because that makes you successful because it keeps it, like you said, creating habits, being consistent, right? Those things are so important in your business and then celebrate them. Like, you know, give yourself a sticky, go give yourself a break or take yourself shopping, whatever you want to do for whatever it is that you did, but celebrate that for you, I think is really key for that consistency.
Mhm.
Agree.
Awesome. All
Yes.
right. Well, Candace, I know we've taken up some of your time today, and I really appreciate. I know Emily and I both do. We're so glad that you were able to share some time with us today. Because we know that you not only see the truth, but you tell it with your heart, and that just it. Every time I'm on a call with you, you are just an amazing person because you don't say anything unless you truly mean it. And you've shown us that success isn't just about being perfect or even having it all figured out. It's just about choosing to move forward like you said, consistency, like one single step at a time, right? So, Emily, if you don't mind, go ahead and share your screen. I want you to be able to pull up that QR code. You pull that up. All right.
There we
Thank
go.
you. There we are. Okay. All right. If you're watching this and you're ready to take that next step, I want you to scan this QR code. It is going to take you to a page where you can book a free clarity call with our team. And I mean that genuinely. Isn't your time worth a free call just to see what could happen next? No pressure, just a conversation about what is possible for you and your business when you stop waiting and you start building. Thank you again, Candace, Emily. Thank you so much. Everyone, get on that QR code, get your appointment, and we look forward to working with you inside of the Academy.